So right now, you are literally locked up. Let me get my camera straight. You are literally locked up, bro. Your personality is locked. Like a skill in a skill tree, this part of you is locked right now. And that is why it's so hard for you to reach out to friends. That's why it's so hard for you to feel socially connected to people when you're around them. It's not because you're an introvert. It's not because you don't know what to do. It's because this part of you, your personality, has been so far shoved deep down in you that it's really hard to let out. It's really hard to let people see authentically who you are. You don't feel connected to others whenever you are in conversation because of that. And it's not your fault, bro. That's the sad thing. It is your responsibility now to work through this so that you can have the relationships that you want, but it's not your fault. It's because of the way that you were raised, right? Because of all the times when you were a kid, like kid, I'm talking 8, I'm talking 10. When you were a kid and you were shut down at the dinner table by your mom, your dad, or by friend groups that you were in when you were young. Whenever you show a side of yourself, you show an emotion, right? Even if it's a quote unquote negative emotion, like anger, fear. If you were shut down from showing that, you learn to repress emotion. Not just that emotion, emotion in general. So now as an adult, in the real world, it's hard for you to show your emotion. It's hard for you to show yourself. Because whenever you brought up about how your day was at the dinner table and you were being honest, like authentic, you were shut down. So now you can't do that in real life. But the real world is different from the world that was reflected back to you by your parents, by your friend groups growing up. Now you have to make changes to make sure that you can adapt to the life that you want. Because if you don't, bro, you're going to continue being locked up like this, nervous in social situations, caring what so many people think about you, thinking in your head, is this the right thing to say? Is this the right thing to do right now? Whenever you have this much thinking in line with this, this is when and why you start locking up. It's why people think, oh, yeah, I met him. He was okay. I don't really know him, though. This is why you feel like your friendships are shallow. And it's also by being shut down again and again like this, you got excessive negative feedback as a kid, meaning now you were very sensitive to negative feedback. So you don't want to put yourself out there because what if someone says something? What if someone says something mean? What if someone criticizes you? But what the real world looks like and what successful people do is they go from point A to point B like a missile, right? And when you're looking at a missile, it looks like it just goes straight there. But it doesn't. What happens if you look at the actual way that the missile is going is it gets a little off course and then it course corrects and a little off course and it course corrects. And what happens is when it gets off course, there's feedback telling it that. And then it just nudges slightly in the next direction. And it gets there through a series of tiny zigzags. This is what the rest of life should be like for you. But right now, what's happening is you're getting off course just a little bit. And you get negative feedback telling you push a little bit more in this direction. But because you're so sensitive to it, you don't push in that direction. You just completely stop. You think it was wrong for you to move at all in the first place. But that's not the case, bro. You have to reset yourself and how sensitive you are to this negative feedback. And you have to start showing the emotion that you have repressed deep down. Because there's no such thing as good and bad emotions, right? There's a place for anger. There's a place for fear. The thing is, the only way that you can categorize these emotions is by if they are applicable right now, right? If they're appropriate to the situation. Some situations might not be appropriate for fear. It might not be appropriate for you to fear going into a conversation, but it might be appropriate for you to fear a bear in the woods. But by suppressing all of it, you can't show who you are. So this is great. We just learned a little bit about ourselves. We learned a little bit of psychology, but like, what do you actually do with this? How do you actually start showing what your true personality is? The way you do that is through poise. And what poise is it's having comfort, being relaxed in any new situation, right? It doesn't have to be a social situation, that's what I was gonna say, but it can be any situation. It could be a presentation. It could be a new part of your job. It could be a new friend group, man. Trying to make new friends, meet new people. By being relaxed, you're able to turn on the best parts of yourself. Because when you're relaxed, it's no longer your conscious brain that is thinking all of these thoughts and getting you mixed up. It's now that you are using your subconscious. And this is what your subconscious is literally built for, bro. It's built to be in the moment, to be present, to be creative, to be spontaneous. And when you can wire yourself to be using your subconscious rather than your conscious in conversation, you're going to be relaxed and you're naturally going to connect more to people because you're going to be able to be yourself. And people love other people who are authentic. Because think about it, bro. You don't dislike people who are different from you. You dislike people who aren't honest. You don't dislike the guy who has different hobbies. If he's funny and chill, you'll hang around him. If he shows up whenever you guys want to hang out, yeah, man, what a sick guy. But you dislike the guy who told you one thing and then does another, who said, hey, let's meet up, and then bails on you, right? Because that's a form of inauthenticity. It's a form of dishonesty. And right now, you're being dishonest with people because you aren't showing who you are, what you think, what you believe. And I'm not going to tell you that you're going to make friends with everyone because you don't. But what does happen is that you make friends with the people that you wanted to be friends with in the first place. The people who really fucking get you, who vibe with you. And you're going to make way more friends doing this and be way more likable than anyone who's holding themselves back. Because no one gets to know that person. And whether people are like you or not, they tend to like you just when you're being authentic and honest. So with this, with conversation, don't be too careful. Make mistakes and then figure it out. Because when you make mistakes and then you course correct, you naturally start to learn how to be yourself in every social situation. And with brains like you and mine, right? We like to think of like, what's the most efficient way I can do this? What's the best way possible I can get from point A to point B? But with some parts of life, like social skills, dating, it doesn't work like that, bro. To make the best impression, don't try. Easier said than done, right? So what are the actual practical things that you can do to make not trying a part of your life, to be more open, to unlock this part of yourself that is frozen right now? Well, the first thing is visualizations, right? And not just any visualizations, not the one that I've talked about before. These are a little bit different. So you already know that our brains and our nervous systems react just the same way to the real world as they do to vividly imagined thought. Like you can't tell the difference. My example of the Gluck Gluck 3000, if you imagine yourself in detail getting the Gluck Gluck 3000, your dick's gonna get hard. Just the same as if you imagine yourself in a relaxed situation, your body's going to get relaxed. You're going to feel like you're actually there, like it's actually happening. So what I do, and you take this for yourself and bend it in the way that works for you, I think of my best friend. I used to go get Taco Bell with JD like every other day after school, right? We'd get Taco Bell, we'd go to his place and then just eat quesadillas, chalupas, and watch movies. I couldn't be more relaxed than I was then. I couldn't be more myself. Every time I think of that, I smile and I feel like nothing can fucking touch me, right? I'll handle it. Whatever happens, I got it. There's nothing new that's going to happen. Getting yourself into this mental state by vividly imagining this thought, and not just like thinking about it, right? Experiencing it, being there before you go to do the new thing that you think could be scary or could put you in a situation that you lock up in. By thinking of this previous situation where you had complete poise, absolutely relaxed. You put your body and your mind in that state before you go into it. And then you start to act like that guy. You start to act like that version of yourself that didn't care about the outcome, that was just being you. Maybe you're thinking about you whenever you're alone and you're completely comfortable, relaxed. Maybe you think about you talking to your friends on Discord, right? Whatever it is, man, conjure that image vividly before the next time that you're going into a social situation. The next thing that you can do, tip number 2, is literally practice acting without thinking. Because right now there is a spectrum. There's people who just act without thinking completely. They get themselves into trouble. Not the best way to live. And then there's people who overthink. There's people who it's really tough to take any action, to say anything at all, because they're just in their heads about it all the time. They're just thinking, and right now, you're way over here, bro. You need to be in this happy medium place. You don't want to be way over here because this guy's life sucks too, right? You want to be in this happy medium where you think some things through, but the other things that you don't need to, it's not applicable to think through. It's applicable just to act. You have to practice acting without thinking. So I want you to put a reminder in your phone right now. This is your action step. Reminder in your phone. Act without thinking. And I want you to cross that off once per day, right? Because this is a skill and it's going to take time. It's going to be hard at first, but it gets easier and easier and easier the more you do it. And by consciously bringing yourself into a position of poise, thinking of that memory before you go in, and by purposefully thinking, I'm going to act without thinking, you're naturally going to start portraying more of yourself. You're going to be authentic. You're going to show your real personality. And this is what I want for you, bro, because on the other side of this are the amazing friendships that you want. These new social groups that you want to be in. The girl that you really wanted to connect with. This is how you fucking do it. So act now without thinking and become unstoppable.